AEW Fight Forever is coming out soon, and I'm just going to say it, screw the negative Nancy's. Because I think it looks excellent, it's clearly an homage to No Mercy, and it just feels like it's going to be a good time. Everyone is moaning about graphics. Now, I actually think the visuals look fine, but also, it's a wrestling game. As long as it's entertaining, who the flub cares? With the release right around the corner though, hello, I am Simon for What Culture, please hit the subscribe button, and here's 10 things you should know before you buy AEW Fight Forever. Number 10, 50+ wrestlers are included. So the roster size has become a massive thing when it does come to wrestling games, as the 2K series found out. Because if you didn't put every single WWE superstar in it, damn Twitter melted down. Kenny Omega has been doing a lot of interviews recently though and said that at least 50 wrestlers are going to be in it, and if you do some digging, 41 of them are out there in the ether. The one that made everybody go, what, is that Cody Rhodes is still in it, but isn't that just a wonderful thing? If I do sit down with it and I get to play as the American Nightmare, I'm going to be a happy panda. You can also expect the likes of Omega himself, Chris Jericho, Hangman Adam Page, Britt Baker and all the other stars, but you also get Sting and you get Owen Hart. So I tell you, in terms of variety, I think this rocks. You're also going to get a bunch of DLC that you can choose to download as well, so if your favourite wrestler isn't in it, I bet eventually they do pop up. Number 9, it's arcade heavy. So if you do know about WWF No Mercy, this should come as no surprise, and it's one of the reasons I'm so damn excited about it, because when I sit down with a wrestling game, much like Cyndi Lauper, I just want to have fun. It may also separate it from what's out there already, which is massively important, and let's not pretend that in 2023 you don't enjoy somebody tickling your nostalgia gland. A walk down memory lane is everybody's favourite thing. Pick up and play has also been touted as a major attribute of this, which means more people are going to be able to play it, and once again that ties into the games of old, because if you're going, man, why did they used to sell so well? It's because casual fans would play it because they could just grab a controller and go, ha, I know what I'm doing. The Aki engine was also a huge influence on this, which gets my motor racing, and as Kenny Omega has also said, doesn't matter if you're old, doesn't matter if you're young, doesn't matter if you're somewhere in the middle, Fight Forever has been made for everybody. That's why I think it's gonna rock. Number 8, the match types. Another touchy area of these games, because if you introduce something and then take it out, boy, people get mad. The cool thing about AEW Fight Forever is that it does have some brand new things in there, or at least things that are exclusive to AEW, because not only are you gonna get the Casino Battle Royal, but you also get an unsanctioned lights out match. And you'll get all the traditional things as well, like a singles, a tag, a 3-way, and a ladder match, and loads more. But you also are going to get a barbed wire exploding death match. I still have no idea how that's going to work out. I mean, it's absolutely going to be tough to pull off, but it could be a game changer. And yes, that is definitely a pun. Number 7, there's a full creation suite. And thank goodness for that. Because I'm repeating myself now, but once again we do turn to the WWE 2K series, and those guys have done such a good job that some people don't even play the wrestling part of the game, they just go into the creator suite, and I tell you, they make some wonderful creations. I don't know how they do it. Even I'm there, that shouldn't be a thing. So of course AEW was always going to follow this, because that's just how the world works, but once again, when you do a little bit of research, it sounds like they have put the time and the effort in, so if you want to create, I don't know, your dad, and then beat him up, you probably can. Now we do have to give some slack, because don't forget the 2K series has been around for years, and this is AEW's first foray into it, so they may need to tinker a little bit, but the fact they put it in there from day one, well, it gets a round of applause from me. Number 6, the story mode is create a wrestler based. Dubbed Road to the Elite, Fight Forever has taken the old school approach in the sense that when it does come to our story mode, you make a wrestler and then you have to turn them into a superstar. And people involved with the game have even said, if you try and take on somebody better than you and you haven't leveled up your character, you're gonna get murked. Now that may be a downer for some, because you're like, man, I wanted to use my favorite wrestler when I go through some sort of narrative, but this comes back to what I just said. This is their first release, and I bet as the years go on, eventually you do get something like this. Also, in the past, when developers have got this right, it's an absolutely wonderful journey to go on, because you do spend time with this person you've created, you fall in love with them, and then when you do beat Jon Moxley for the AEW World title, you just go, yes, I did it. There's also some extra tidbits out there confirming that the game is going to have voice acting, so it's not going to be like Fire Pro Wrestling. But that sounded more disparaging than I meant it to. Fire Pro Wrestling is also a great game. Number 5, there's an Elite Edition. Because of course there is. In 2023, if you don't have multiple editions of games, you're just leaving money on the table for better or for worse. Now we don't know too much about this other than the fact it is going to come out on the PS4, the PS5, the Xbox Series S, the Xbox Series X, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch and Windows. But if I were to hazard a guess, because we know we are getting DLC, if you plump for the Elite Edition, you're probably going to get all of it from day one. The main thing I want to see is how the performance compares from something like the PlayStation to the Nintendo Switch, because I tell you, if I can play a wrestling game on the go, I'm going to kiss that thing and I'll do it forever. Number 4, you can interact with entrances. So another point of chat at the moment is that we're not 100% sure whether AEW Fight Forever has full entrances. Now, I'm not totally bothered about this, because here's what I do. I watch them for a couple of weeks, and then eventually I start skipping them. Either way, developer Ukes has added in a cool feature here, because you can actually interact with them. So if you have chosen Chris Jericho and he comes out to dun 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 dun, you can decide when pyrotechnics go off. And I like things like that. So I imagine you just push a whammo and bam, look at those sparks fly, and you have to imagine it's not just going to be this. So when Christopher is walking to the ring, maybe you can push another button and he'll start taunting the crowd. I really do hope they allow you to go completely over the top with it too, because again, it's pro wrestling. It's really, really silly. Number 3, there is a lot of blood. So this was funny, wasn't it? Because as soon as Fight Forever went, oh, we're actually going to be teen rated, all these negative Nancy's are back going, oh, I knew it. It means they've taken out the blood. You were totally, totally wrong. Because as more matches have been released, especially from the hardcore bouts, this looks like it's actually the official game of The Shining. Because some of the wrestling mats, well, they are completely red. I mean, one featuring Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho had me look at it about 72 times because I couldn't believe it. Once again, if you do want to go into comparison mode, while the 2K games do have a little bit of blood, it is nothing like this. However, I do want to point out, number 2, you can turn it off. This was hilarious as well, because when this hoo-ha did develop, the same damn upset people were like, oh, now there's too much blood. I was like, would you make up your mind? Kenny Omega made sure to come out though and say, listen, everybody calm down, because you can turn the blood off, and this is just a smart decision. Because if you're an adult and a little bit sick, you can turn it on, but if you want your kid to play it, you can turn it off, and everything will be totally fine. I mean, games are always best when they try to appeal to everybody, which is why Dark Souls should have an easy mode. I'm only half serious. I just wanted the comments to go crazy. I instantly regret it. Number 1, you can do intergender matches. And we mostly know this from a bunch of screenshots, especially because one had Chris Jericho taking on Britt Baker, so intergender matches are in. Now I think in terms of Ukes, this may be the first time they've done it since SmackDown vs. Raw 2009, so if you want to say this is a decade in the making, you can, but it is a little bit hyperbolic. I also would hazard a guess that it means you'll be able to take advantage of male and female options throughout the entire game, which should be the way. Don't leave any stone unturned. And also don't forget, if you're not into intergender matches, you just don't have to do them. Options are important when it comes to gaming. It certainly feels like Fight Forever is going to have a lot of them. I mean, it's even got mini games. What? Yes. So there you go, some stuff that you do need to know before buying AEW Fight Forever, and if you know of any other information, make sure you put it in the comments before you like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen right now to continue your What Culture journey. And if you want to come say hello, or you're an idiot Simon, it's Simon316, or it's What Culture WWE on social media. My name is Simon What Culture. I am very excited about AEW Fight Forever because I love wrestling games. Remember that TNA one came out in 2006? I mean, that had all the potential in the world, it just needed a sequel. But let's not talk about that because it was years ago, and let's cross our fingers. I think it's gonna be good. Goodbye.